Welcome to this very special edition of the KJ Masterclass Live, the show which ensures that you profit from your time spent here with experts, either through their industry insights, information, or simply learning from them. And today we have Lynn Weimar. She is the founder of Be Fit Beyond 50 and author of Be Free Beyond 50. Has a passion of mission to transform the lives of women beyond 50 who struggle with emotional eating, food addictions, and obesity. Welcome to the show, Lynn.
Thank you, AJ. So great to be here.
You are welcome to the show, Lynn. You are welcome to India in this online form. And I'm sure not just in India, but a lot of people across the globe will benefit from what we are going to talk right now. We'll be talking about food freedom beyond 50. But before we come to that, let's understand a bit about your journey, Lynn, so that people understand who they are listening to.
Well, my journey really began when I was facing an emotional addiction that didn't have really anything to do with food back in my 30s. And then everything that I learned from that time, because I just felt so out of control, I felt so ashamed. I was in so much secrecy during that time. And I realized that I was not able to get out of that on my own. So, fast forward to my 50s, I had gained weight. I realized it wasn't as easy to lose weight as it had been prior to menopause. And I was really struggling. I was struggling with food addiction. I was struggling with sugar cravings, really. And that same feeling of helplessness kind of came over me. And I realized addiction is all the same. It all comes from the same place. It comes from trying to meet a need that's on the inside with something from the outside. And at that time, I realized there are so many women, millions of women just like me, who are struggling just as badly, if not worse, than I am with food right now. And it was my journey out of that and finding that food freedom that really gave me the desire to help these women who are struggling and suffering every bit as badly as I did in my 30s and then again in my 50s.
Wonderful, wonderful, Lynn. So, what should people understand food freedom as? You means food freedom means you are free to eat anything as much as you want, or is it something a bit different?
I used to think that that's what it meant. And when I was in my 40s and I was really doing a lot of running, I found that I could eat whatever I wanted because I was running at such a high level. But now I look at it as I can eat whatever I want. True. But all I want now is to nourish my body and my mind and my life with the very best healthy food. That's what I truly want for myself. So, yes, I can eat whatever I want, and whatever I want is all the good stuff. I do not want to put junk into my body. So, it's like having this beautiful, expensive $150,000 car and putting junk gas or bad gas into it. Why would you ever do that? But we're so much more valuable than the most expensive car there is. Why would we want to put bad stuff into our body? So it's really a rethinking of how we've always viewed food and how we've always viewed ourselves that is at the heart of what I teach and what I do for for women who are struggling.
Right, Lynn. So you talk about transforming lives through food freedom. How does that transformation happen? Means you can eat food the way you want, or is it that it leads to another sort of, something happens after that and your life transforms? Like in your case, you did your master's degree after 50. So was that related to food freedom, or was it your yearning to get this master's degree from long back?
Um, I had a little bit of a bad internet connection there, I believe. But what I believe you're asking me, well, can you just give me a really short version of
Yeah,
your
yeah.
question so that I
I
can
wanted to
make
understand
sure I
about
got it?
transformation through food freedom. How does that transformation happen? How should people look at this? And your transformation also happened in your own manner, but you led it to earning a master's degree up in your 50s. So, is that transformation, does that happen to other, or was it only yearning for knowledge for you from long back? I want to understand the impact of food freedom on the transformation part for anyone who wants to do that.
Yeah, so I mean, my journey is my journey, but I've always had this love of learning and self-development and wanting to be my very best self and realizing that this life is precious. I can't go back and hit rewind on how I've already lived my life, but I can start now. I can start with a fresh start and arm myself with the very best research and information and draw from lessons that I've already learned. And, we can talk about that definition of insanity of doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. And that's where I see a lot of women being stuck. Every day they're saying, okay, tomorrow, I'm going to do better. But they're applying the same thinking process and habit patterns and everything to tomorrow that are there today. There's no change. And one thing I realized in my early 50s, as I was coming out of this major life transition, was I had a strong desire not to be stuck. I felt stuck and I was miserable, and I put all my attention into not being stuck anymore. And that's what I'm really here to help women to do, is to apply new thinking processes and just get that fresh start that they need and not be stuck anymore, to be able to move forward and to never want to go back to the old ways that got them stuck in the first place. So I'm giving them the tools that they need to to be able to do that and to be able to move forward with their life.
Right, Lynn. So how can one get started? What is the way to get started? Especially when you think, you have gotten stuck with emotional eating and all that stuff. When all the things have happened and that point, and sometimes people think, okay, why will I change? 50s, why, what's the need of change? And that is another problem for, in terms of people's mind. So how is it that they can break that chain and get towards building a life that they would want to after in their 50s, especially?
Everybody who starts in my program, I tell them the same thing, that the very first step is to learn how to truly value yourself and your life, and to realize that we don't get out of a hole by digging it deeper around ourselves. We don't make forward progress by beating ourselves up. So it starts with not just accepting where I am right now, but even just loving where I am right now and who I am right now. And that's where I can start to make forward progress. So for me, when I was feeling really, really stuck, and I went to a therapist, and he said these 3 simple words to me that just brought the tears to my eyes and made me realize that this is exactly what I needed to hear. And these words were, "You are enough." Because I kept thinking I was not enough. I didn't even know I was thinking that. But just embracing who I am right now, then I could start to see the path forward. And then creating this beautiful vision for my life and seeing where I want to go from here, and knowing that really the sky's the limit. I'm only limited by my own imagination or my own mental blocks that I've put in place. So when I've created a really clear vision for my life, then I can start to make decisions from that place that I want to be. So does that future self just sit in front of the TV and eat junk food all day? No, she doesn't do that. She just no, she's out there running and enjoying her life and being free, and she's no longer bound by all these limitations that I have placed on myself. So I'm making my daily tiny choices from that place of empowerment and living that life that I really want.
Wonderful, wonderful, Lynn. Now let's talk about this 25 pounds of losing the weight without traditional dieting. How did that happen? Means you just went on with it. People would love to understand how did you make that happen, losing 25 pounds without traditional dieting.
Yes, I first had to realize, okay, diets are not working for me. They're making me crazy. And I haven't found one yet that because it's all here. It's all in our minds. It's not the plan. It's not the food. It's here. And so the thing that I realized as I started to put good food into my body instead of, and I'm not just talking about junk food. I'm talking about just the regular stuff that Americans, I'm talking to somebody in India, so I don't know how it is in your culture as much, but we are saturated and inundated with all kinds of food, not just the junk food and the fast food, but our normal meals are full of heavy, dense calories. And I realized that just going more plant-based, eating food in its more natural form, which I'm not into just raw food. I cook my food and prepare it, and it's delicious and it's healthy. But the more I did that, the more I realized I was no longer craving the junk or the heavy stuff. I felt good because before, in my 50s, I had felt just bloated and blah after a meal, and I never knew how much was enough, and I always wanted that second helping. And when you go to a more natural diet, the cravings go away, and you're no longer overriding that natural satiety that happens when you're just eating whole food. our modern American diet is is overriding that natural satiety that happens, and we don't know how much is enough, and then we overeat, and our food is so calorie dense that we don't realize how many calories we're taking in. So I know I'm talking about calories, and I'm not into counting calories at all, but just making that switch to very nutritious, healthy, natural food as close as we can to how it grows out of the ground instead of the processed and refined stuff, then we start coming back into this natural balance with ourselves and our bodies that has existed for thousands of years, that in our modern culture we somehow managed to override and throw out the window. Hence our modern obesity epidemic that we have in America. So I don't
Absolutely,
know
it
if
did.
that answers your question.
Absolutely, it did. And this issue of modern diet, it's spreading everywhere. Even in Indian culture, we have got a
Mm-hmm.
lot of uh, plant-based diet, especially vegetarians. We use a lot of vegetables and all. But nowadays, this fast food culture is everywhere, and not from today, but from several years. And especially in cities, this culture, even it's gone to smaller places. But people are nowadays, they have had enough of this, and they are becoming much more aware about the natural things, and getting back to once or twice, it's okay, but not to take these as good food. These are, as you said, very high in calories, and a lot of stuff that we may not even know what that is all about. And so people are
Mm-hmm.
growing much more conscious, and it's nice to know that a lot of guests I do from the US also, or other parts of the world, they're spreading that whole idea about good food, and that nowadays this that food itself is a different sort of a medicine, and if they eat it right, it can take care of the body in a miraculous way, and it is nice to see that. And so let
So
me
true.
let me learn more for the audience about the book that you have written, Free Beyond 50. What is this book about? Is it about just food, or much more than that? Tell us a bit about that.
It has a bit about food in there and my journey in my 50s, but it really starts with what I kind of started this whole show with, was the struggle that I had in my 30s and how deeply in shame I found myself and how I got out of that. But it's mostly about how you as an individual don't have to live in secrecy anymore. You don't have to hide yourself away. You don't have to be ashamed of where you are right now, because shame thrives in secrecy. And the more we try to hide it, the more miserable and the more stuck we become. So it's really about not hiding anymore and being able to step into the vibrant life that's there waiting for us as we learn to overcome all the things that are keeping us stuck.
Right, right, Lynn. Especially in 50s, when people start approaching 50s or touch 50, they think, that their life is over. There's nothing more required to be done for whatever reason. Then there are, people start looking at it from a retirement perspective. What would you like to say as the founder of Be Fit Beyond 50, who talks about, uh, yeah, some technical problem. Let's see. Will get sorted. I will see and add back. Okay, she's gone. Lynn is back. Yes, yes, Lynn.
Uh,
It no problem.
no,
Don't, yeah, don't worry. This technical things. It's good to see you back. So, Lynn, I was asking a lot of people in their 50s, especially women, they think, that in 50s my life is over now. From that perspective, they take it a bit differently. How should they look at life, especially from your perspective? When you have written this book, Be Free Beyond 50, or as the founder of Be Fit Beyond 50, you got your master's degree in your 50s, and so there is so much to look at it, but people are not able to look. What is your message to such people, especially women?
We have such a tendency to think our life is over because we've spent all these years caring for family members, raising children, serving everybody, and putting our own needs last. And what I've really found is that it's not selfish to put ourselves first, because when we do that, we have so much more to give to others. When we're just in this hamster wheel of just trying to hold everything and everybody together, we never make any forward progress. We never gain any traction. And being able to really learn what it means to value ourselves, then we can just start really living our lives. And what I talked about earlier about giving ourselves the freedom to dream and to look at the future, that future can be really bright. If we look around and all we see is problems and struggle and hardship and temptation and everything that we're doing wrong, then we get into this place of hopelessness and we think it's over. And I know that when I was in my later 40s and I was watching my life kind of crumble around me, I really thought it was over. I really thought that all there was left for me was to just hang on and survive to the end, whatever that end might be. And it was really depressing to me that I was so healthy and it was going to be a lot of years for me left. And now I look at that and I have the most amazing life. But it started with giving myself the freedom to, number one, not be stuck anymore, and number two, to start dreaming, and then making tiny steps of progress every day toward the life that I want for myself. So now in my 60s, I'm doing these Ironman triathlons. I'm feeling better and more fit than ever before in my life. And I'm absolutely loving my life. And I get to serve women from now, even just talking to your audience from all over the world. Isn't that amazing? And if I had just stayed stuck and stayed in my shame and stayed in my hopelessness, I wouldn't be here right now talking to you and living my most vibrant, active, healthy life.
Right,
So
right,
yeah,
Lynn.
it's not over. It's not over. No matter what your situation is, how old you are, how overweight you are, how stuck you feel by your circumstances, there's so much for you.
Absolutely. There is so much for you. And the impact was those three words, you are enough. How do you like to put that for, especially for women?
Yeah. I mean, right now, you are amazing. You are everything that you need, and you have everything that you need right now because you're here. And if you're even listening to this, it's because there must be some little inkling of hope in you right now. And that means that it's not over. You still have this beautiful life to live.
Absolutely. There is so much to learn from you about life, about living your life, about food freedom, about all sorts of chasing your dreams and attaining them. So, a lot of people who would like to connect with you, would like to learn more about you. What is the best way for them to do so?
If you get a hold of me at Be Fit Beyond 50 and spell out the FIFTY .com, or reach me at Lynn LYNN at befitbeyond50.com, then you can get a hold of me directly, and I will reach out to you and see how I can help you move forward on your journey. So I'm really looking forward to hearing from you and helping you to just have that hope again and be inspired again to live your best life.
Wonderful. With this, it's a wrap on this very special edition of the KJ Masterclass Live. Thank you so much indeed for joining us.